Welcome to Samaritan's Well. I'm Mark, and today we're talking about what your default is when something hits you that's difficult. Most of my clients, their default is either mad or sad. Now, sometimes it's neither. We'll talk about that just for a moment at the end. But if the default is mad, it usually means that it's a little hard for those clients to be sad about something. If the default is sad, very often it's hard for those people to be mad about something. And it's really important that there be a balance in your life. So let's talk about mad for a minute. One of the reasons that mad is a default when something difficult is because you feel stronger when you're angry. Now, the scripture says in Ephesians chapter 4, 26 and 7, it says, "Be angry and yet do not sin. Don't let the sun go down in your anger. Do not give the devil an opportunity. Don't give him a place." It's the word topos. It literally means like, don't let him come into your backyard or your back bedroom of your house. So when we get angry, it's important that we have control of our anger, but sometimes that anger is going to be stronger, or we might lose control because we're not accessing the sad part. Now let's talk for just a minute about people that default towards sad. The scripture does say, "Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy." Psalm 126, 5 and 6. "He who continually goes forth weeping, bearing seed for sowing, shall doubtless come again with rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him." And Jesus talked about those who mourn. He actually said in Matthew 5, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." So I try to tell people, unblessed are those who don't mourn, for they won't be comforted, right? We have to mourn to be comforted. I was working with a dear lady years ago, and she had gone through a season where she was crying and crying and crying a lot, grieving over some really heavy things. And she went to the Lord. She said, "Lord, I'm so tired of crying. I'm so tired of these tears. I wish I could just turn them off." And she said, the Lord surprised her and said, I could have made it so your tears came in a place on your body that no one saw it, but I didn't, did I? And she began thinking about it. Her tears came down her face, and it was a test for her. It's a test for all of us, and it's a test for others. The test for us is the humility that it takes to cry and to weep when we need to, when it's necessary. The test for others is a test of compassion. Are they uncomfortable? What does the scripture teach? It says, "Weep with those who weep." So back to this balance that we're talking about. If I have someone that can get sad, but it's hard for them to get mad, I have to ask them to come back and speak the truth about whatever the injustice is. They may be mad at themselves. They may be mad at someone else. They may be mad at God. I might have them write a letter. I might have them do some journaling. But we're trying to get back to the reality. If it's a real injustice, then anger is appropriate. Remember, anger is a reaction to a perceived injustice. And yes, we absolutely can have righteous anger. So sad without mad when there's been an injustice is a problem. We have to balance that scale. Mad without sad when there's been a real grief or a loss is also out of balance. So the person that defaults to mad, I'm trying to get them back to embrace the loss, to really call it what it is. And again, that might be talking it out, writing a letter, journaling, praying about it, etc. So I'm trying to find a balance, and I want you to consider what's your default, and maybe you could really pray about or talk to the people around you about, am I out of balance? Do I get more mad and not sad? Do I get more sad and not mad? And then there's that third category where people are more stoic. That is a different issue. It's a shutdown of emotions, and it can come from your family, it can come from trauma, it can come from being hurt a lot. And if that's an issue for you, then really we have to work on both sides. When there's an injustice, I have to take those steps to go towards being mad when I need to be mad. And when there's a loss, I have to go toward those steps of crying and mourning and weeping and grieving when I need to grieve. So I wanted to introduce those things to you and give you some thoughts about that, because it's a really important part of what I do every day in working with people. I hope that helps some to get some seeds planted for you guys. And remember, you can reach us anytime you want at SamaritansWell.com. Thanks.